All right, so now we're ready to start learning how to trade and understand when we place trades, when we don't, and how to look for trades. I'm excited to get going, guys. Okay, so this first, trading technique, or one of the main principles you need to understand is our support and resistance. Um, and understanding what that is for your trades and how it is. So I'm gonna do a lot on TradingView with showing you kind of how to work support and resistance. I'm also going to use um, this little sketch pad right here. Okay, I'm going to use my hands, so don't mind if I'm doing this. Okay, so support and resistance is very important. So I'm just going to try, so say we have our charts right here, okay? So say here's a chart that's trading, it's going up and down, and it seems like it's kind of staying within this. So up here seems like a place where it tends to keep hitting and going down. And down here, it seems like it keeps hitting and going up. So this line right here is called our resistance. Sorry, okay. That says resistance. And then right here, this is our support. Okay. So you'll notice, and I'm about to show you some charts, every time it comes down and hits, and it can't pass, and it hits, these lines are support and resistance. You'll notice that for some reason at these prices, that people tend to start selling when it hits there or buying when it hits here, and it has a hard time passing it. So I have my US dollar to Canadian up, and let's look at some support and resistance. So right now I have this on the day chart. So when it's on the daily, each of these candlesticks is 1 day. So if we start back here, which is January 2nd of January 2019, this day it dropped, and then it kept dropping, and it kept dropping. For 5 days it kept dropping, and then another couple days it went up. So what I'll do is I'll look at this chart and I'll be like, okay, I'll zoom out a lot and kind of like, okay, this is on an upward trend. It's on a pretty high trend. So what I'm going to do though is I'm going to say, okay, let's look at some support and resistance lines. So I'm going to come over here and I'm going to click on my horizontal line tool. And I'm going to click once. Oh. And I'm going to kind of move it. So I'm looking back in these previous days, like over in here, just so I can kind of see, what has been support and resistance. So if I look right here, see, I'm going to place it right here, right about there. So see how every time it comes up to here, it tends to just hit that and have a hard time either deciding whether it wants to go up or down. That's a good line. That's where I'm going to say, okay, make it a little thicker. That's every time it gets to right there, it tends to either bounce off it or go above it. And then so I'm going to create another one. So let's do another one, horizontal line. Let's click and let's move this. So another one is right. They don't have to be perfect, but I'm gonna say right there also. The reason why is because it seems like they always tend to, it went up, stayed in this channel, and then it broke through. Almost got there, debated, went up, touched, and then it has our time, then it broke through, and then it has our time. So see that? So I like those 2-day ones. And let's place another one. I think I gotta click it again. Let's do another horizontal line. I'm gonna click. Okay. So it seems like right in here, it always tends. So if you look, it touches right there, and it comes down. So these are just, the reason I'm doing this is so every time it touches it, I feel like it's just a line, an imaginary line that it bounces off, and I'm just creating these lines myself in my head. So those are some strong ones back in the past. I'm going to do a couple more that I see. So I'm going to place one over here. Let's go. I like this because every time it touches right here, I like this one because look, it seems to touch this quite a bit, and it came down and touched it, and then it comes down, touched it. You know, if you zoom in on that spot, it would be like 6 or 7 days that it touched this line, and then once it broke through, it tends to break through. So those are older ones, but if you look and you come over here, so I placed those looking over on this side, which is back a year ago, almost 2 years ago. And then as I come over here, because that's kind of where it's trading right now, you notice that those support and resistance lines tend to be the same over here. So this is where it's trading at right now. The price is 1.35018. And that support line, that's on 1.35277. That was a pretty big one. If I come back over here, see how every time it touched it, it wanted to go through, but it had a hard time. That looks like it's a big trend line right now, or a big resistance line right now. So, because every time it kind of hits right here, it's having a hard time breaking through. And then this other one, see how it's kind of trading within these two channels? And it'll break through, then come back in, break through, come back in. You can kind of tell it's okay, it's within that channel. And then if you see other ones, so like I could even be like, okay, let's place another one right here. I like this one because see how these ones keep touching that right there, and then it breaks through, and then these ones keep coming down and touching that as well. So that's why I like to use this. And then this is the daily chart, like I said, but we could even switch it. Let's go to the hour chart. So remember, each of those candlesticks is now an hour, and you can find other support and resistance lines as well. But you can see, okay, every time it gets to this line, it kind of plays with it, or every time it gets up in here, it kind of wants to stay in the channel. But if you wanted to make it more specific to these times, so those blue ones I have as day, but let's do another horizontal line. I'm gonna change the color because this is on my hour. So see, I'm gonna do right there. Let's change this color to, well, that's too bright. Let's change it to like just a darker green. Make it a little thicker. Okay, so the reason I'm doing this on the hour view is because on our daily chart, you know, those lines are pretty big and they're pretty far spread apart. But on the hour view, you can see that there's other little support and resistance lines as well that they like to trade within. So just barely, if you look right here, it just came down this hour and hit this line and bounced back up. It didn't want to pass it. So remember, this support line or this resistance line is huge, because if it's above, it's a resistance. If it's below, it's support. So no, it's going to play within these. I think if it can't break this big resistance line, it's going to continue. It's going to drop big, because it tends to drop big every time it can't. But here, let's go back to here. So, okay, so let me erase all this real quick. So something else is, so say we have our resistance line and we have our support line. You'll notice sometimes it will be trading and it will break through, and then it'll be like, okay, come back in, bounce off, break through, and then come through. Something you want to pay attention to is if it breaks through and then goes like this, right there, that's when the resistance, I'm just going to put R, becomes the support line. So right there, it breaks the resistance and then it comes down and hits it, and now that becomes our support line, and it tends to go up. So I'll show you an example on that here. So here, let's go to our day chart. Okay, so I'm going to zoom in. So right here, so see this big blue line right here, or this one right here. See how let's go right here. So, okay, hope you're following along. Okay, so this is April 1st right here. See how it keeps hitting this line right here, this big support line that I drew a while back. It keeps hitting it, keeps hitting it, keeps hitting it. It goes a little bit past it. Like if you're on the hour view or 15-minute view, it goes a little past it, but then it comes back in. And then finally, what it does is it breaks through. So it breaks through this resistance line, and now that becomes a support line. So as it goes up, and then it comes down and bounces off it as a support, bounces off it as a support, bounces off it as a support. So it becomes a support line. And then if it breaks through again, so say if it were to, let's see if I can draw on this. So if it were to come down into here and break through this and then hit that and continue going downward, then that would make it so this line becomes your resistance again. I hope that makes sense. So your resistance, your support, once it switches, and there'll be another line up here that will then be a resistance line that it might bounce off of, and then this is your support. Okay. So, let's go here. Okay, I'm gonna go back to the hour view. So right now, looking at this trade, I'm not going to place any trade. Looking at this chart, I'm not going to place any trades on it right now. So looking at it, I'm going to say, okay, it's got a big resistance line coming, and it just hit the support. If I zoom out, it seems like every time it can't pass this or get through that, it breaks once it breaks this line. See, so as an example right here, it's kind of trading like it is right now. See how we're up here? So it broke through this little resistance line that became the support, and it wanted to go up, couldn't, and then once it broke through, it went down hard, and it tends to go hard, but then it hit some other support lines and kind of came up, it comes back up, and then right here, see it breaks through. Well, it broke through for a sec, but then now it's hitting it as a resistance. Doesn't quite want to break it. So it comes down, plays in the channel, doesn't quite want to go through that. Support line, wants to stay in this little channel. This is a channel, so everyone knows. I hope you're kind of following along. So once it goes back up, it breaks through, kind of plays with it, stays above it, wants to come down and challenge it again, and then stays above it again. So right now, it looks like it's in an upward trend, but this is such a big resistance line that it's had a hard time breaking this line. I'm going to wait and see. If this goes through and breaks it, so let's see if I can zoom out. Another trick is right here. If you unclick auto, you can then zoom out and move it however you want. Okay, let's see if can I draw? Okay. So if it comes up through here and breaks this, and then comes down and challenges it again but can't break it, I'm then going to place a buy, as I think it's going to continue to rise. But if it comes up here and challenges it and doesn't quite get through, and then comes down here and breaks through this and uses this as a support, so kind of like this, once it breaks back under, can't get through, I'm going to place a sell. So right now, I'm just going to kind of wait and see, what I think is going to happen. I don't really like any trade setups on this, but that's how you do your support and resistance. But let's go to another chart to see. So this is my US dollar to Canadian dollar. Let's go to the euro to US dollar. So we're on the hour again. Looks like this one's kind of dropping. So I'm going to go to my day. I'm going to zoom out pretty far. I've already placed other things, so you can see I've already placed other support and resistance lines. So on this day, so you can see I have a line right here already coming through because every time it touches it, it wants to break through but can't quite break through. But something I'm seeing right now, I'm going to do a horizontal line, is right here. So it seems like it can't quite break this line right here. See this? So it came down, challenged it, comes back up, challenges it, comes back down, challenges it, and it's about to challenge it again right now. Let's make this blue because I did it on the day chart. So this one's getting close to challenging it. And let's look at our hour view. So it'll be interesting to see kind of what happens when it gets here. As it touches the support line, if it breaks through and then can't come back above it and uses this as a resistance because it switches, it goes below it, then I will place a sell because I think it's going to drop even more. But if it can't break through this and starts to rise back up, I'll probably place a buy with my stop loss being outside of here. You can also go right here, you can go to 15-minute charts and you can do little ones. So like on just our 15-minute, let's get some trend lines going on right here. So, or horizontal lines. So see on these 15-minute ones, see right here, see how it always has a hard time breaking right there. Over here it has a hard time, and then over here it had a hard time as well. And then let's do another one. So let's see, I like right there. The reason I liked right there is because I was looking right here, it had a hard time breaking through. And then over here, it touches it quite a bit right in there. And so these are smaller lines. So when it's trading right here, but when it comes back up and in here, I can see like, okay, it's back into this channel and I can kind of pay attention. But if I'm looking for, oops, let's go back to this. Okay, so let's do this. So if I come back in here, I'm going to put this line. So it looks like right there is really good because it can't break through right there. And it broke through and came back up. And then horizontal line. Let's do another one. Let's do another one right here. The reason I like this one is because it touched it right there, right there, right there, and then it came back down and touched it again. And if I come back over here to where we're trading right now, I'm going to take it off auto so I can kind of show you guys. So the ones I placed over here, if you come look over here, it's kind of the same thing. So it had a hard time breaking this line, and once it did, I'm going to move it kind of more to this. It broke through, and now it's touching that little second one. So I didn't change the colors of these ones, but this is the big day support one right here. So, oops. I'm going to change this one to be really thick, just so we know. So this one is that big daily one that I put. That's a really hard support line that like it hasn't ever been able to pass it throughout the day. And these are all 15-minute ones that has hard time passing within 15 minutes. But see right here, it's playing with this line right now. It's looking like it's going to break through. So that's something that will be interesting to see. Let's go back to our US dollar to Canadian dollar and kind of see how it's going. Okay, so this one's still rising. Let's go to the hour view. It'll be interesting to see if it can test this resistance line up here. We'll kind of watch that. And then I'm going to put a lot of live trading videos where I'm going to place some more trades, later on, and I will do live trading every day for you guys. But that's kind of our support and resistance. So as you go through and put those lines, and as they're already up, so the good thing is before you start trading, when you have a pair like the euro to US, you want to go through and create these lines. So you already have them, so you already know what's support and resistance, and where, when it tests, why, when it might bounce, might not. I'm gonna go back to the 15. Because when it tends to get these points, other people out there that are buying and selling currency are also wondering the same thing, kind of like, what's gonna happen. And so it's just kind of a question, who, what. So look, it broke it. So I think this is going to continue to drop for quite a bit. But we'll see. If this 15-minute doesn't end beneath it, so if this keeps going up before the next 15-minute starts, it might bounce off. But that would be something interesting because, yeah, see, it's going to have a hard time. So like, even if I go to like the 5-minute chart, it's even easier to see these lines. Or if I even go to like the 1-minute chart and go back, so like see how it plays on these lines. So it wants to go through, goes through, and then it kind of stays, and then it stays within this channel. And right now it's like, okay, it's debating what it wants to go. So it's going back up. It's on a downward trend, but I think it's going back up pretty hard against this little line right here. So I think it'll be really interesting to see if it breaks this. But that's what I'll watch for. If it does break this, I'll probably wait until it breaks this big day one before I place any sells. Because I'm probably looking to place a buy as it's, if we go back to, let's look at the 4-hour chart. Ooh, let's go to auto. Because every time it tends to get right here, it goes back up a little bit. So I'm going to wait and see kind of right here what it does, but you kind of understand the gist of it. This is how you use the charts. You have your watch lists up here. You can go back and through, and then your resistance and support lines will stay. So that's support and resistance. It's important to see. That's about as many as I'll place. Some people will place, a lot fewer. Some people will place a lot more. They'll go through and literally every single time it has like a little bit of a resistance or support. So like this is a 5-minute chart. Some people come through and place one right here. They'll place one right here. They'll place one right here. They'll place one right here and here. Just because they like to see kind of how it plays. It's not how I do it, but everyone has their own way to trade. At least you know how to place the support and resistance lines now, and kind of how to use them. It'll kind of give you a good idea of what the pair is doing, why it's kind of sticking where it is. Because, at the very beginning, I wouldn't place them over here, and they relate to over here, because everyone else is also seeing these same lines. You can place more, down in here, but I probably won't until it starts trading down in here. There's no reason to put all these lines down in here. So that's support and resistance. It's pretty simple. You just kind of go through, remember, so the tool is up in here. I've been using it, so I'm pretty sure you understand, but it's just a horizontal line. A horizontal ray, what it'll do is say, place a horizontal ray here, it'll just be continuous from wherever you place it instead of going back, which I don't like. I like seeing where it tests at all time. So something else just extra, so I place these right here, but if you come back to like even over here, so now I'm back to September 15, you can tell that by that little thing down there. Those lines are always playing into effect, it seems like. So the support line it's about to hit, or the resistance line it's about to hit, is this one right here. This is where it's trading the 3.5, or disregard that. So you can see like all these lines will always tend to bounce off. Like look at this one down here. It's a really strong line right there. It's really interesting to see. That's a good way for you to understand, like, because right here in this certain situation, so say it's came down here, but you noticed it keeps wanting to test this. You would never, even though it looks like it's in the upward trend, you wouldn't want to buy because it's hitting those lines. It keeps hitting them and going down. until it finally plays with that, and then it breaks it, comes back through, but then it breaks it for good, and then it goes up. So you want to make sure it breaks your lines before you go through and trade them. So now if I go all the way to where we're at today, so right now it's getting close to breaking that line. It's wanting to break this line. But I'm not going to place any buys until I feel like it has broken the line and it comes down and tests it again and goes back up. So yeah, I hope that makes sense. That's support and resistance. Again, if you have any emails, feel free to reach out, send an email. And if you have any good tips or anything that you want to share, I'll always be making more videos on that and uploading, but this is just to give you a basic understanding of kind of how to understand your trades. You know, a lot of people use indicators, which we'll get into indicators also, but this is just your first thing of understanding support and resistance. So yeah, and that's it, guys. So I'll see you on the next video.